And we are live.
Well, hey, everybody. I'm Stephen Ritz with the Abode team at Keller Williams Winter Park, and Linda Sytek is my business partner. And today I have with me Natalia Bailey, and she's going to help us with this Facebook Live today. Hi, Natalia.
Hi, Steve.
How are you doing?
Pretty good today.
Good, good.
Awesome. So yeah, today we are talking about, for you all, Abode's top 5 real estate lessons that you learned in 2020, because
Right.
obviously 2020 has been a crazy year, as we all know, and you all have had a lot of great learnings and a lot of great growth, and I've been so lucky to be alongside you with that growth this year. We started working together in July, and we know that the year hasn't been easy for everyone in the world.
Right.
But you all came into 2020 like with really high hopes and with a great trajectory ahead of you. Not only was the market great because interest rates were historically low, but you also have told me that you guys set up in 2019 a great pipeline of new clients, and you had some really promising ventures in mind for yourselves. And
we did.
Right before COVID, 2 weeks before COVID, you all had this awesome client appreciation party as well, right?
That's exactly right. We did have a fantastic 2019, and 2020 was stacking up to be even better.
Yeah.
So it was pie in the sky. Everything was great, and then COVID. I will say we had that amazing party 2 weeks before COVID, and then we celebrated Linda's birthday on Friday the 13th. And then of March. And then you know what happened that weekend is when the whole country sort of got closed down, really, that next week of the 15th and 16th. So yeah. I tell you, I would say, you know, you said there were 5 real estate lessons we learned this year. And the first one, I'll just tell you right now, was when faced with a challenge, don't back down.
Yeah.
That's really one of the biggest things that I learned is you got to hit it head on. And right after the president spoke about the country being closed down and going on a quarantine, Gary Keller, the leader of Keller Williams, got on a nationwide, company-wide streaming platform and talked with us about what to do to help our business to shore up the loose ends and to tell us, hey, we've had rough times before. This is unprecedented, but this is how we think and the experts think we're going to get through this. And so he helped us prepare and get ready for what was to come. That being said, we still felt like the rug was pulled out underneath us. And it was just one of those certain things. We just had to face these things head on. And I have to say, in those first couple of weeks, we had a lot of contracts, say 5 of them, that pretty much we were in escrow. We had dates to close. Past inspections on some of them, and they just pulled out. Wow. Sellers, buyers, boom. And it was a big challenge for us. We didn't know what to do and how to find our clients' properties for those homes, because at that point, we weren't even sure what our role was in real estate. There was a couple weeks there towards the end of March, beginning of April, where we weren't deemed essential yet. Yeah. And if you're not deemed essential, you really have to figure out what are you going to do? And so that's when we realized working from home was going to be one of the best ways to work from moving forward. So we all moved. We had a rented office suite at the Keller Williams building where we'd been since we'd opened 6 years ago. And Megan and Linda and myself worked out of this office suite, and we closed it up. And we said, nope, Linda, you're working from home. Steve, you're working from home. Megan, you're working from home. And that was one way that we could keep ourselves safe and save money because we weren't sure what was going to happen. We decided to do a couple other things like digital marketing in order to save some mailing expenses. And that's when we started doing our weekly emails to clients and things like that. So life doesn't stop just because we're facing a challenge. We have to move on, and people were still moving, and people were still having kids, and people needed to move from one house to another for various reasons, because their lease was up or their new job was happening, or something along those lines. So we know we needed to help people still. We just had to have the all clear and go ahead to actually make that happen. And that did finally come. So first rule is, when you're faced with an obstacle, meet it head on.
Yeah.
And come up with a plan.
Yeah. And that's been the whole year for everyone, is just continue facing those challenges head on.
Exactly.
And so, all right, that one is an awesome first lesson. So before we dive into the rest of them, let's go ahead and reintroduce ourselves for anybody who joined us after we started. So again, I am Natalia Bailey, and this is Stephen Ritz with Abode Realty in Winter Park in the Orlando area. And today we're talking about Abode's top 5 lessons from 2020. And because, of course, there were so many learnings from this year. And so the first one was about tackling those challenges. The second one, I know that a big theme for you all this year, a huge theme, has been community. So Steve, why don't you tell us about how community played into this year for you?
Sure, exactly. Well, in 2020 has ended up being a lonely year for a lot of people. And so we have to create community some other way from just seeing people and interacting with people at work and going out to eat, or to have fun with people at the theater or in plays or movies, or bowling. All that sort of stuff just stopped. And so we have to really find a way to come together. So the second lesson is finding ways to come together. And 2020 has been an amazing year of community building, I have to say. And Zoom calls, everyone, Zoom is now is in our lexicon. Everybody knows what Zoom means, and those sort of things help everybody stay together, I would for sure say. But one of the big things we also recognized was that there was a big need in the community for people going hungry. And so we recognized that Second Harvest, one of the organizations we've already volunteered with before in the past, needed even more help. And so, as forming that sense of community, we asked our supporters and our friends and our clients to join in with us on a food drive for Second Harvest via Facebook. And we raised, we had several food drives and have raised over $5,500 towards Second Harvest this year, feeding thousands of families in that regard. And we also had a food drive later on in November as well too, and collected over 350 pounds of dry goods and canned goods for Second Harvest. So that sense of community is a big idea. It's a big point right there too. But we also dialed it down, literally dialing it down, because we wanted to find out how our clients and our friends and our supporters were doing during this time. I mean, there were several weeks, like I mentioned before, where we couldn't go out showing homes. We couldn't go out to do anything. And so we wanted to connect with our sphere, our friends, our supporters, our clients, and just make what we called care calls. And that's to touch base with them. And they weren't business calls. They weren't asking them, do they know anybody who needs to buy or sell a house? They weren't, how's the house going on? It wasn't that. It was really to find out how they were dealing with this pandemic. So unprecedented from all of us. I mean, Linda, Megan, and I, we actually had daily Zoom calls just so we could see each other and talk to each other as well. So because we had that, it was a lesson on how to broaden that gap and talk to other people. Our community is so amazing to begin with. That's what we also found out, was that our local community was so amazing. But when we wanted to talk to our clients, we made these phone calls, and sometimes you talk to people normally, in a normal year for maybe 3 to 5 minutes because they're at work or something. But I have to tell you, most of these care calls were 15, 20, 30 minutes long. People had time to talk. We really wanted to find out what they were doing and figure out basically how they were handling COVID and how it was affecting their lives, and asking if there was anything we could do to help. Came from a truly caring and servant nature. Linda and I feel that very strongly in our business, and we want to give back and help any way we can. Anybody that might need some help too. So that's what I would say would be creating that sense of community, sort of lesson number 2.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that anybody who knows you knows that that is exactly who you and Linda are, is that you're always people first. And even
Right.
before the pandemic, it was very clear that that's the way you all are. But being given the opportunity to be like a light, it would be, one of those common phrases.
Yeah.
Being a light for the community during this time has been just a really great thing to see from you all. So I think that that's a great lesson just for
Okay.
everybody about this year. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so we went over lesson 1, which was tackling tough challenges head on.
Right.
That's a little bit more of a personal mindset lesson. Lesson 2 was about community. So lesson 3, I know, is more about actual real estate, right?
Oh,
Your
yeah.
business day in and day out. And so, well,
Yeah.
what would you say you learned the most about real estate this year?
Sure. Well, at the beginning of the pandemic, first of all, as I mentioned before, we didn't even know what real estate was going to look like in 2020.
Mhm.
They kept talking about essential workers. Like you can go to the grocery store. People who work at the grocery are essential. The mail persons are essential. Obviously, hospital and civic um, organizations and police forces like that, let me say, governmental organizations were deemed essential. And there are some states in the United States where real estate was not deemed essential for months. And that meant that title companies weren't closing on houses and people weren't showing homes. So finally, real estate for us, after several weeks, was deemed essential by the state governor. And then we were able to actually get out there and help people find and sell homes that needed to find and sell homes, because a lot of people were self-quarantining and they found out they didn't like where they lived or they were too close for comfort with their spouse or their family and their children or their loved ones and their pets. And so after time, and with the continuation of low interest rates, people recognized that there was a opportunity to sell the home they had, because we're in a low market of inventory, not a lot of homes on the market, but they could sell their home pretty quickly. And if they found a home, they could even hop, step, skip, and buy a bigger home. So they could upsize, so to speak. Maybe to get that pool they wanted, maybe to have more space for a home office or 2 home offices, or an extra bonus room for virtual learning for kids. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why people wanted to move. Along with those other reasons I touched on before, people in rental situations that were in a bad situation because they were living with mold in the apartment and they had to move for their safety of themselves, or their lease was up and their landlord was like, yep, you got to move. Things like that too. So when we were deemed essential and realized that people were still going to be able to buy and sell houses, then I have to say our business really increased pretty strongly in the summer. But it wasn't all price points. Part of it was the price points of 200,000 to 400,000. Those were selling very, very quickly. And we had one property that was sub $200,000 property that sold with 10 offers on it very quickly, and broke records for appraised values in that neighborhood because the person paid cash and they didn't care. They wanted that property. So it was a little wild in the summertime. But once again, we wanted to make sure we were providing the right knowledge and the expertise for people who needed to buy and sell their home, because that's something that goes on year round. And it was so weird because people were listening to experts out there. And I have to say, the experts, you could just choose whatever expert you wanted to listen to. I mean, you had on a 180 degree, you had some people saying, this is the worst time in the world to buy and sell. And you had other people like, this is the best time to buy and sell.
Yeah.
Or it's going to get worse in the fall. And it's going to get better in the fall. Wait till the election's over. Wait till the election's over. It's worse. Wait till the election over. It's going to be better. I mean, I don't know who to listen to when it comes to that with the experts. We just had to keep on going. And we feel, and a lot of the experts I'm listening to are saying that 2021 is going to be just as good as 2022 because of the low interest rates and the continuation of people still needing to buy and sell homes, and people moving from the north down to Florida. I mean, some of our biggest sales this year were luxury properties. We had one for for 6 million. We had one for just shy of 2 million. We had another one that sold in a day for over $1 million when it was on the market. So it was just a big change to a lot of people's lifestyles. And so that was really unpredictable for real estate at that time, at least.
Yeah. So part of it being just, you can't always listen to the experts. Sometimes you just have to see what happens, right? And it turned out the luxury was that sales were incredible this year, surprisingly.
They were. One of our biggest sales, the one that sold for 3.4 million, had been on the market for about 10 years with 5 different agents.
Wow.
And ironically, we got the job done during the midst of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And someone wanted to move to Florida. It was, I can say now because it's public knowledge, Larry the Cable Guy bought one of our listings and is now in Central Florida, back in Central Florida, and wanted a estate-size home on a lake that he could share with his family and friends and be in one compound. And gosh, did that work out great for him for COVID?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that house, Lake Butler, right? It's a gorgeous house. Yeah, it's awesome.
Exactly. Big Southern style mansion.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so it seems like overall with real estate this year, you all have learned how crazy unpredictable the market can be, but also how adaptable the market can be, both from the real estate side of things and what agents are doing and how homes are selling, but also what buyers needs too, right? Like we saw that buyer needs changed a ton this year because everyone's staying home.
Yep.
So,
exactly.
Great. Okay, awesome. Well then with that, why don't we go into lesson number 4, Steve?
Right.
What was that for you?
So lesson number 4 was, we touched on it briefly earlier, but it's a new digital world full of possibilities. Mm-hmm. That's really what we learned even more so in this year of COVID 2020. Yeah. I talked about Zoom. So we've been having a lot of Zoom calls with clients, some Zoom calls with listing appointments, Zoom calls with buyers, for instance, because we can just have a good conversation. I normally like to get, and I did sometimes face-to-face with people in our conference room at our office and sat across the table with our masks on and social distance and talked about it face-to-face. But some people it was just easier and more comfortable to do it across Zoom. So that's really part of the new digital world right now. We did Zoom things with our own Keller Williams office to keep everyone just in touch with each other, like playing some office trivia and on a Thursday night, happy hour, things like that. So that was really fun. And it became more COVID friendly with that sort of the aspect of the business. Along with that, photo tours and virtual walkthroughs and more digital marketing of our listings became even more important. Mm-hmm. We'd already been doing video ahead of the curve for about 5 years now, at least. And then started doing the voiceovers this year as well in 2020 to describe the property as you're walking through the video, as opposed to just showing music, listening to music and showing the property. We did voiceovers to narrate so we could explain what it is, because it used to be about 83% of people saw a property first online before seeing it in person. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not, I'd say it's close to 98 to 99% of the people have already seen a property before going to look at it right now. There's not as many looky-loos who are just dropping in at properties. They're being very strategic. The buyers are. The agents who are showing the homes are being very strategic as well too. And you're qualifying the clients before coming in, because if it's a home that's occupied, you have to keep it safe. But another way to do that is through the professional photography, which of course is what we do already, and a 3D tour, which is called a Matterport, where you can actually do interactive and click on a certain spot and then click and you can zoom over to the hallway and then look down the hallway and then zoom down the hallway and then look at a door and then go into that door and even look at a closet. I mean, that's really the 3D tour that has really changed a lot, because it gave people another way to understand the layout of a property as opposed to just the video.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool. That's the digital marketing that we've done. So that's a big change in 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know even for you all, for Abode, the business, you all have hopped on that digital marketing train a ton with, you, like you said, you started the weekly emails, which I understand got a ton of engagement this year and got people communicating more often.
And included videos in those weekly emails too.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So those weekly emails, and then we've started up these Facebook Lives this year to
Well,
be able to,
how did I
right?
leave that off the list, Natalia? Of course, we're doing this too, Facebook
Exactly.
Live.
Well, it
That's
feels so natural now, right? Like it feels like every day. Oh, haven't we always been on digital and on
I
Zoom? But
know,
it's a
I
change.
know.
Yeah, exactly. So these lives and your blog and social media, just a whole new take on digital marketing this year, thanks to all the
Thanks to
lessons
COVID.
of 2020. I felt like saying thanks to COVID was bad.
Yes,
Exactly.
it's just different ways of doing business.
Yes, exactly. Awesome. And so, okay, so that was the fourth lesson, was ramping up the digital marketing. What is the last lesson of this year, Steve?
The last lesson I would say is recognizing that patience is key.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where all of us slowed down to some extent during this pandemic. And some of us needed to be patient on different things and services that we relied on, whether it's having groceries delivered to some people, or different things in the pipeline like toilet paper not being readily available. You got to be patient, and you got to strategize and ration
Yeah.
toilet paper sometimes. For me, it was paper towels. I had plenty of toilet paper and I had tissue paper. It was just paper towels I needed. So that's really the vital thing that we learned, was being patient, not only in our personal lives, but being patient in our real estate lives. Because while we've had a lot of properties that have sold quickly, some properties just take a while to sell no matter what it is. And so our clients have to be patient, because we're not having as many open houses. We're not having as many brokers opens, where we have brokers come to the property as well too, just for COVID safety reasons. There have been times during 2020 we felt we could, when the numbers were lower in, let's say, August and September. I think they were lower. And so we did a couple then. But now that they're up, we've stopped doing that. So it's just patience and looking back on what we've learned to have a grateful for the year we've had, no matter what, because we've made better communication ties and touches with our clients. And we've had a robust sales year as well too. So that's really those things. And so we've talked really about the 5 real estate lessons in 2020. I'm just going to review them, if that's okay, Natalia, real quick. So when faced with a challenge, really go at it head on. Take stock and go at it head on. Second one, we're all in this together. And that means we're a community, and helping others that are in need and reaching out to people just that you haven't talked to in a while, and see if they're needing anything or just need a conversation, Third was real estate is essential. So there are people who still need to buy and sell properties during this time period, for business reasons, for personal reasons, for financial reasons. And so that's the third one. Number 4 was the digital world is full of all new possibilities. And that's from our Zoom to our emails, to our Facebook Lives that we're doing, and really embracing it, and not backing down from it and just sitting home doing nothing. That's not how Linda and I operate our business.
Never.
No, and we'd go stir crazy anyway. We have to talk to people. We have so many client events throughout the year that we've had to do something different. And the 5th one was patience. And that patience is the key, I think, for everybody across the board to really get through this. Right now, we have to be patient for the vaccine to be distributed next year, 2021, for most of us. And so that's another patience we're going to have to learn to be, or have, I should say, for the vaccine to come out. Yeah. So if it's taught us anything, it's that here at Abode, even during a pandemic, we can face the challenges and we can still work with people as best as we can. So that's sort of where we end at that regard. But if anyone has any real estate needs and they do need to buy or sell a property, of course they can reach out to myself. I'm Stephen Ritz, one of the principals of Abode at Keller Williams Winter Park, along with Linda Sytek. But you can call me at 321-277-8271. And my email is stephen@abodehometeam.com. It looks like Adobe, but it's not. It's Abode, A-B-O-D-E, your humble Abode. And of course, our website is abodehometeam.com. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Feel free to share this video with other people too, in case it might interest them. we'll have it on our Facebook page for a while.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thank you so much, Steve. I know that these were some really great lessons. I love this nugget of wisdom from you all, and we will talk again soon, probably after the holidays.
Okay. Thanks, Natalia. Appreciate you helping with this one today.
Thanks. Talk
Okay.
soon.
Bye, everybody.